When China makes a move on rare earths, the world feels it. But this time, the story is not just about minerals, it is about positioning, and one country is sitting perfectly in the ripple effect: Singapore. On July 2, 2025, China agreed to resume large-scale exports of rare earth materials to the United States. This came after years of tight controls, export license freezes, and strategic stockpiling. But the real story is not what China gave the US. It is what this move sets in motion for the rest of Asia, and specifically, for Singapore. To understand this shift, you have to look at the chain. Rare earths are the backbone of clean tech, defense systems, semiconductors, electric vehicles, and renewable energy infrastructure. The moment China signals openness in this space, the entire global supply chain begins to reroute. And in Southeast Asia, no hub is more prepared to receive and process that flow than Singapore. Let's break it down. China's rare earth exports are not just rocks in a container. They are refined materials, advanced chemicals, and finished components that power everything from wind turbines to MRI machines. When exports resume, they don't just go from Chinese ports to American warehouses. They stop, they transfer, they get processed and warehoused and audited. That is where Singapore comes in. Singapore is the logistics capital of the region. Its port, its free trade agreements, its tax efficiency, and its neutrality make it a natural gateway. And when companies want to move fast, reliably, and quietly, they choose Singapore. So when this rare earth shift happened, logistics players in Singapore started getting ready. Warehousing firms began prepping cold chain and security-adjusted bays. Compliance officers dusted off rare earth customs frameworks. And energy tech firms started inquiring about regional sourcing options they couldn't consider just a year ago. This is not speculation. This is a realignment already in motion. But the benefits are not just about trade logistics. They go deeper. Think about what Singapore does best. It doesn't try to outbuild its neighbors. It out-organizes them. It becomes the trusted middleman. And in a time where global trust is at a premium, Singapore's value rises even higher. Companies in Europe and the US are now seeking what they call geopolitical insulation. They want to operate in Asia but without being directly exposed to major power struggles. Singapore is that buffer. It is close to China, friendly with the US, integrated with ASEAN, and seen as politically stable. That combination makes it a prime candidate for new regional headquarters, regional logistics hubs, and trade control centers. And that means jobs, capital inflow, and long-term positioning. Let's be clear, this is not just about minerals, it is about proximity to value. If China is the source, Singapore is becoming the sorter, the organizer, the filter. There's also the data angle. Rare earth materials are not moved blindly. They are tracked, logged, regulated. And that means Singapore's digital infrastructure will now handle more high-value, high-sensitivity data flows. Blockchain customs tech, predictive shipping AI, cybersecurity layers for trade compliance. These are all areas where Singapore is already investing. Now those investments will accelerate, and with all this comes influence. Singapore is not a resource-rich country, but it is becoming resource-critical, the one that turns supply into stability. This also aligns perfectly with Singapore's broader trade evolution. The country is moving beyond being just a shipping port. It wants to be the decision point, the dashboard, the switchboard of regional commerce. China's rare earth pivot pushes that vision forward. And we have to talk about timing. This deal comes just months after the China-Singapore Green Trade Corridor was quietly upgraded, a project that links sustainable supply chains across multiple sectors. It includes mineral management, it includes rare metals, and it positions Singapore not just as a passive observer, but as an active node in how green tech gets delivered to the world. Now add this to the growing trend of friendshoring. Countries want to manufacture in locations that are geopolitically stable, environmentally friendly, and aligned with global trade rules. Singapore ticks every box. And as Chinese exports resume, those buyers looking to diversify but not decouple will look to Singapore as their ideal rerouting point. It is not just the big companies either. SMEs in precision engineering, circuit design, and energy storage are already starting to register new import licenses and rare earth derivatives handling certificates. These are quiet signals, but they are real, and they always come before headlines. So what does this mean over the next 1 to 3 years? It means Singapore will likely see a surge in regional procurement centers. It means local talent specializing in materials compliance, customs regulation, and energy infrastructure will be in higher demand. It means new partnerships between Chinese producers and Singaporean logistics networks, and it means more visibility for Singapore in global boardrooms. In other words, soft power, not the kind that makes speeches. The kind that moves quietly in contracts, shipping lanes, and quarterly earnings calls. Of course, it is not risk-free. If tensions escalate again, Singapore will face pressure from both sides. But that is where its strength lies, in not taking sides, in playing host without playing pawn. And that neutrality is now worth more than ever. Because when two giants need a room to shake hands, Singapore offers a clean table, clear contracts, and quiet confidence. This rare earth deal might seem like a China-US story, but in the margins, Singapore is already winning. It is absorbing the flow, organizing the chaos, and showing once again that small doesn't mean soft. It means smart. So the next time you hear about minerals, metals, and supply chains, don't just watch Beijing and Washington. Watch what Singapore does next. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Is Singapore the quiet winner in China's new trade pivot? Let's talk about it.